This is quite possibly one of the worst maps for this vehicle, but we can still do so well in it because the vehicle is just a tad overpowered. So we're going to have a look at, of course, the E25 today, the German Tier 7 tank destroyer. We have a couple of gameplays that I'm going to showcase to you. This one being the first one. It's a very, very quick one, so I mean, there's that. And the main reason I wanted to feature this tank is because it basically shows you everything you need to know about spotting within World of Tanks and why it is so pretty disgusting. And why having great camo is also going to enable you to have some really, really crazy games. And I mean, here we are going onto the railway tracks. There's no point in us taking this German Tier 7 TD up to the top on Himmelsdorf because it just doesn't really get a whole lot of gun depression, and also you can't really use the concealment that this tank has. Now, this tank, to all intents and purposes, has absolutely ridiculous rate of fire. It has absolutely ridiculous the ability to remain undetected. Because why? Well, it's because essentially what you have with this vehicle is that you can keep firing using muffled shot in this vehicle. So if you've got your perks set up which reduce your detectability when firing, you can then also run it with camo and vision so that you have the ability to reduce your average kind of ability to be spotted in whatever you're doing, and you then also have the ability to, you know, not be able to, you know, be spotted when you're moving as well, because you can put on the equipment and of course some of the perks like silent driving, for example, that allow you to, yeah, remain undetected when moving because you reduce the bloom of your kind of concealment, if that makes sense. Now, console does a really good view of this because the circle will adapt to whether you're moving, whether you're stationary, after you're firing, etc. You'll see exactly how big that detection range is where people can actually spot you. But in this, you see there's a Churchill 7 and he is in a little bit of a predicament here, and hopefully we're able to get a few rounds in. Now, I did get spotted and it's most likely not from the Churchill because, yeah, I mean, even though we're so close to him, it's probably this Super Hellcat and some of the boys over to the left. Now, we find ourselves a little M12 friend who, you know, tries to go for us. But, you know, given the fact that we had the thumbnail, it's not the only artillery that tries to take us out. And, yeah, well, now we just go in after this Churchill 7. And don't worry, because this tank can go 70 kilometers an hour as well. So, the German little rat vehicle that it is pretty unbalanced to all intents and purposes, and yeah, very, very strong in its own right. But this isn't the best game that we've had. It was just such a quick one that, I mean, we had to show it because, yeah, I mean, this is the worst map for this tank, but, you know, still did 3,000 damage and also 1,000 assist, and for the most part we did all of that when undetected on such a small map. So you can imagine what it's like when you start getting the bigger maps where you have the room to maneuver and you can use the 65 to 70 kilometers an hour top speed, which we are using and boosting using some of the speed boost equipment as well. So we're now going towards this 87 or 84 or 85 even, or whatever it is. It's the last vehicle left alive. It's a tank destroyer. He's obviously gone up this way, so we blitz past the Hellcat, which is of course a little seal clubber with his 3 marks on that thing. I mean, I can't really say anything. I'm playing the E25, but at the same time, we try and go for this 88. I was just being a meme, trying to jump off the hill. We track him, and then yeah, managed to finish him off before the Hellcat seal clubber gets any more damage. Didn't want him to feel like, you know, he was going to impact this game all too much, and there you go, epic victory. He actually comes third, so it's nice to see, you know, the seal clubbers coming further down the list, even in the broken vehicles that they are in. But not quite 3,000 damage, but 1,000 assist on a town map isn't bad either, so a really good game. So let's jump into the next one where we see what this tank can do in a little bit of a better map than that one. And the map in question is Junkler Pass, and this one's you know, it's pretty large in a tank that has very, very good camo. There's loads of bushes. There's a lot of room to maneuver. Yeah, this is going to be balanced. But what you have with the E25 is, of course, that fast-firing gun. But unfortunately, as you see, we are loading full premium because the standard pen is awful, 150, which means that if you come up against tier 8s, heavies from the front, you basically don't pen. And even if you're loading premium rounds, if you're coming up against tier 8 heavies, you may still not be able to pen. So it can be annoying in some regards, but remember, the whole point of this tank is that you maneuver around and find areas where you don't get spotted. Like, for example, you know, about 200 meters away from a light tank, and also firing. Didn't get spotted. Now we do get spotted there, that's just because when we fired we did not have a bush in between us and the opponent, which obviously impacts your camo values. The enemy artillery, you know, coming swooping in, trying to at least get us. Yeah, he'll find out later what this tank's all about. But we put one into the Spatuk, or the Spick even, and there you go. Nice little light tank out of the game. There's still one left alive, which we'd love to get rid of because, like playing a light tank, as soon as the enemy light tanks are gone, this one becomes much, much better. And, yeah, tried mounting a rock. I would like to say that was intentional, but I'd be lying. Either way, what we'll do is we'll try and just spot for our team. Now, in most tanks, I would never, and I mean never, recommend doing what I am doing right now. But I am so confident in this game and the ability of this tank to remain undetected that I can push here. And you're seeing me just keep a close eye on how big that reticle is actually blooming when we do spot opponents. And you can see here we managed to find a Britannia. We're getting some assistance damage because, you know, we should be able to get assistance in a tank that is also very good at getting damage. And there you go, little T32 locking him down, trying to get a bit of damage. Don't worry, we'll come back to him. And now we can just keep moving. I'm trying to spot him again because, you know, I want that assistance damage. If I can't pen him from the front, that's absolutely fine. But hopefully someone else will be able to, and I'm sure that they will eventually. So we just continue to spot him, and I try and help out with this other tank destroyer that's on the enemy team, the Sturmpanzer, and I believe that there's one more over here. So as a mini spoiler, and it is the Brummbär. So we've got the Sturmpanzer, the Brummbär, two of the German boys, not quite as overpowered as I am, obviously, in the E25, but we do find ourselves a little T32 in the side, so that's the guy that we were able to deal quite a bit of damage to, and of course get him spotted as he tried to YOLO down the hill. I do fire here, maybe a bad mistake. I was thinking that the tree would have actually dealt as protection, but I would assume from this location that it was indeed someone else that actually spotted me, and it appears like it was this TD. Now what is this TD? It's another overpowered tank destroyer, just a tier higher, the Panzerjäger, which is it genuinely is really, really, really overpowered. But you know, we can play up against some of the other tech tree vehicles in the game. They're not quite as good. And here you go. We pull back behind the tree, remain undetected, and bye-bye, bye-bye Sturmpanzer. I'm sure you had a really fun game. Either way, picked up nearly 900 damage and also nearly 900 assists. So game is okay, but we are losing in terms of the amount of tanks we have left alive. And we've got to do a little bit of carrying or a little bit of something in this game to make our team survive this one, and of course have a little bit of a better game. Now what I'm doing here is trying to find this Panzerjäger, trying to find out what the enemy team are doing. And oh look, a Panzerjäger does get spotted, and you'll see him just slowly destroy some of the team. But whilst we're here, might as well go for the T34-85M. That's another seal clubbing tier 6. It's nice to see that they're all out in force at the minute, like I was. And there you go, we locked down the tracks. Not so fun to play that vehicle today, but there you go, 1500 damage and 1100 assist. Just seems like, you know, every time you find an opponent, you end up with more damage and more assistance. It's quite nice actually. The Panzerjäger then tracks us, we repair the track instantly, and hopefully he gets pumped, and oh look, yes he does, and set on fire. Bye bye, have fun in your little broken tier 8 TD. And yeah, that is a very, very overpowered tier 8 TD in the hands of a competent player or someone that's played a lot of World of Tanks. That vehicle is pretty disgusting because it has what the E25 has, but just a tier higher, and it also has 280 damage and it is super quick. It gets a turret. The only downside is it doesn't have the fastest reverse speed, but I mean, if that's the only real sacrifice you get, then yeah, I loved the Panzerjäger in terms of its performance. I don't love that it is in World War II. It should have been left in Cold War, but either way, we finish him off, which makes this game a little bit more easy to play. It's less likely that we're going to get spotted by something that we can't spot already. There's quite a few tanks left alive. The majority of the tier 8s are the artillery, which is fantastic. I love to hear it. We always like farming up those hit points from those artillery pieces during the games. But at this point, I'm just going to push forward. I want to try and spot whoever's here. If we spot them, we might get assist. If we manage to find them in a location out in the field and we can get ourselves in a bush or something like that, it's extra damage. So at this point, there's no point in me sitting in the back hoping that they're going to make the move when I have such good camo that, you know, typically people would think, oh, having good camo means that you should sit in a bush. In fact, for me, it's the opposite. I think, oh, I've got amazing camo. It means I can push into positions where opponents won't be able to spot me, and also that opponents are going to be like, what the hell? How did you even get there? We're using your camo. So it's nice to be able to surprise people, but here you go. This is what we want. I tried going for the tracks of the equalizer, didn't quite get them. That last shell was a little bit of a potato aim, but we still managed to deal damage. It just would have been nice to keep him locked in track. Our light tank goes in after the equalizer, and oh, wouldn't be like another overpowered tank finishing off a pretty very good strong vehicle as well. But here you go, we got the equalizer now coming in to try and take out another tank, given the fact, you know, TD mode and everything, and there you go, ha ha, baited completely. Yeah, how'd it feel, equalizer? I hope your broken tank goes somewhere else and hopefully goes in the bin. No more premium artillery, please, Wargaming. They always go very well. Yeah, not a bad game. I mean, 3,000 damage. Decent amount of assistance. Picked up 4 kills. Still 2 tanks left alive though. And, oh, what is that? An artillery piece going in again? Oh, it's the equalizer. Yes. Yes, indeed. Don't know what was going on during this day when I was playing the E25, but it feels like every single kind of lower class life form in the form of, you know, an E25 driver who has definitely played way too much World of Tanks decides to go in, and also, you know, the artillery pieces coming in as well, the little bugs trying to scrape out as much of the damage as possible. But yeah, we end up winning that game either way, and a nice little 3,066 damage with 2,189 base XP, 6 kills as well, and a pretty decent game in the worst matchup in this tank that it can meet, because it is preferential. Yay, we love it. Thank you very much, Wargaming, for making this vehicle. It definitely needed to be this OP. But hopefully you've seen what this tank can be all about. I'm not trying to crap on it. I'm just saying that, you know, it is a very strong vehicle, and it is a really fun one to play as well. As you've seen, you can do some pretty stupid things and get away with it in this one, as opposed to a lot of the tanks in the game. So hopefully you enjoyed seeing what this tank has to offer, and hopefully you'll join me back in a video coming soon. Don't forget that the new season of World of Tanks is coming on Tuesday, so stay tuned. And of course, if you haven't seen the update information with the flamethrowers, yes, flamethrowers, I know if you're watching this in the future, you're like, oh yeah, they're the flamethrowers, they're overpowered, or oh, they're the flamethrowers, they're utter garbage. Yeah, let me know in the comment section down below, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Have a fantastic rest of the day. Goodbye.